Hello everybody and welcome on Ciel TV. I'm Jeanne Baron and very happy to be with you today to discuss one of the main questions of here in the Ciel. What are the opportunities on the on-board catering right now? Indeed, how to eat in the train, how to eat in the plane. Food manufacturers who propose innovations for the on-board catering market have to propose food offers which are adapted to this specific environment. And to discuss about this specific environment and all the questions about the on-board catering, I have the three best experts. Close to me with the best accents, you'll see, it's super cute. On my left-hand side, Jeremy Clark, thank you so much for being with us today. You are the owner of JC Consulting. Gottfried, Menge, thank you so much to be with us today.
You're welcome.
You are the Vice President of the group Culinary Excellence Gategroup. And Michael Pooley.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Last but not least, you are the Managing Director, Purpose Met Solutions Limited, UK. Okay, first question. It seems very complicated to have great food on planes. Am I wrong, Jeremy Clark?
Yes. No,
I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. Sorry. It is complicated to get really good food on planes. There are so many constraints. It doesn't prevent anybody from providing good product, but by the time it reaches a passenger, you have to consider what that food has gone through. It's been delivered, it's been processed, it's been cooked and maybe chilled, and then it's been put into a cart, and then it's been shipped here and there, and then it's uplifted to the aircraft, and then the aircraft takes off, and then the crew take over. And they like to cremate everything that they are given. So by the time it reaches the passenger, there are so many steps that we as designers have to build into our menus and food to make sure that by the time the passenger gets something to eat, it's still presentable, it's edible, it's tasty, it's colorful, it's interesting.
Okay. But also, Michael Pooley, I do have a question for you. Is it really important for the people eating on the planes to know where the food is coming from, all the ingredients and all that? Is it like one of the main questions that you're asking yourselves right now?
I think that it's not overall important for a majority of passengers who fly, but I think for a lot of the airlines now, there's a huge and significant process in mind when they're developing their menus, that they look at provenance. So they're getting more committed to products which come I would say closer to the airport, so they're not using what we call food miles to distribute their product too far. They're interested in working with more artisanal, smaller companies and giving those companies an opportunity to expose their products and services by launching them as listed items on airlines. So certain products which are packaged gives the manufacturer an opportunity to tell a story about the product. And stories around products and the origin of products is becoming increasingly interesting and important. It's one way of differentiating. It's also one way for the airline to sort of justify a little bit their culture, their heritage, where they are. And it allows people to see perhaps products that they might see also locally in their delicatessens or their cafes. And they get a sort of a comfort reference based on what they're used to seeing.
Gottfried, Menge, do you agree?
To a certain extent, yes. I think it's very important to people food still on airline. I think people value that also, especially when it's on long-haul flights. But changes will happen. I think people will not be anymore accepted to just any food. I think there will be some revolution coming. I think people want to have brands. People are associated with brands. And I think this is the direction where they go. On short-haul flights, let's say within Europe, it's a different scenario. People might not value so much the food.
So you can see the difference, meaning where the people are coming from. If it's in Europe, it's different than the global point of view.
Yes, for sure.
You have to categorize the passengers as well, because
how can you categorize them, Mr. Clark?
You have the frequent flyers.
Yes.
And they are the ones who are probably less concerned about brand and experience and trying something. They want something they recognize, something that fits the time of day, something that is easy to consume and isn't going to spill down their suit, and they want good quality.
Yeah, you have to think about all that when you design a menu.
Exactly.
So it's kind of complicated. It's a real challenge.
Exactly. But if you are selling on board, let's say, you are going to want to sell brands, and you're going to want to sell, again, to the passenger profile that you're carrying. So if it's the less frequent flyer, the holiday makers, they're going to buy brands. They're going to want something they recognize from when they're on the ground. The more frequent flyers, They care less about that. So it's a very difficult, there's a lot of mix in there that you've got to consider when you're dealing with this.
However, I think what it is,
Menge.
yeah, what it is also is that people, when they're traveling, have a different behavior. People totally behave differently once they
Get on a
embark or when they go into an aircraft. This whole feeling, this scenario. And actually the food intake will be much higher and more than what they would eat in a restaurant. They would eat salads, they would go to the gym, but once they go into an aircraft, they will eat chocolate cake.
And steak.
And steak.
But how can you explain that?
Because they feel as though they're on something, they're doing something different.
They need comfort?
Again, for the frequent flyer, it doesn't apply. But for the less frequent flyer, they're doing something which is out of their ordinary routine.
Something exceptional.
So they want, yes. And people remember what they ate on planes months after they ate it.
And do you think that they associate what they ate on plane, on the good plane, or on the good
Absolutely.
Yes.
airline?
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of research has been done about the
Michael Pooley.
importance of food on board, and some people will say it's a relatively less significance, but I think if people have a good meal on board, they remember the airline, they remember the service, they remember the experience, and of course they talk about it. And I think we also got to remember that a business class passenger flying transatlantic to New York on his way to a meeting is not necessarily in the same mindset as when he comes back. On the way, he may want his food to be very convenient, almost finger food, because he's got his laptop out, he's working on a presentation.
Like packaged food?
Not necessarily packaged, but just easy to eat, easy to consume, not being disturbed too much by the service. When he comes back, he might be relaxed, different frame of mind. He wants everything the airline's got to throw at him.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Mr. Clark?
Yeah, it's, again, that's the problem that we as menu planners and people in the airline business face. We have got to design menus and eating experiences, not just for the passenger profile, it's time of day, it's where did they begin their journey, are they transiting from somewhere else, is it breakfast in their head and dinner in their stomach? All of these things combine to make it very, very difficult.
So with all those challenges,
How do we do it?
It seems super complicated right now. Before this show was like, oh, the on-board catering, awesome, I love it, I love travel. It's super complicated. So with all those challenges and all those questions, how do you make it? At the end of the day, how do you make it?
With a lot of experience. I can only say that.
A lot of
it's something you
experience.
learn over time, right?
Yeah.
But I
Gottfried?
think you need to also understand maybe passenger behaviors.
Yeah.
I think you need to understand who is traveling and for what sector they're traveling and with whom they're traveling. Again, passengers behave differently when they're on a business travel or when they're traveling with their family.
Yes.
It's totally different again. And I think for us as a company, what we do this through neuromarketing. We try to identify with passengers where do you go. We have an innovation team in Amsterdam and they're bringing customer there and we're looking at trays, we're looking at what can you do and where the eyes are going and are you accepting what you see in front of you? And I think that is something we need to go and bring this to an airline because we should not forget that today an airline makes a decision for millions.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at trends.
And trends.
And trends. And I look around at this incredible food show here with 7,000 exhibitors. And I see dozens and dozens of products, which I have never seen at other airline expos. And I think there are lots and lots out there for us to
And it could be real good for you,
discover.
right?
Yeah.
It could be just perfect.
Its help makes it all more interesting.
I think for
There's
us
a lot of
also,
opportunity.
Yeah, we have a whole team here. So we are here with a whole team to go through and get innovation. And we are looking also at inspiration and products, what can be used also for the next level.
But also, and if I can be quite frank with you, can I?
Yeah.
Please.
It's not really easy to travel because if you don't have a lot of money and if you travel in the back of the plane, you will not eat the same thing that if you're in first class, for instance.
That's true.
In first class, you will have a chef cooking for you. So you would have something that is, made with taste and super cute. Versus at the end of the plane, maybe you would have some eggs for breakfast?
No, I think that also has changed. I mean, really.
Really?
It has.
Yeah, it
In
does.
which airline?
Because
Mr.
people
Gottfried?
know that the people who are in the back today might be in the front in 10 years'
Yeah,
time.
but they're also paying,
Yeah.
for the other one in the front.
But
Correct.
actually, it works the other way around. But
I fly very often in the back.
I know you told me before the
So,
show.
yes, you
yeah,
see?
no, you really told me. That is
So
true.
I know also the products. And
You do?
Yes, I do.
how is it down there?
No, it's very good. I mean,
Yeah, so how is it with us, the poor people?
I don't feel alone.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
we have
You're
good
not
friends.
alone.
Yeah, no, I'm not alone. So there's friends around,
I think sorry. Go ahead.
Yes,
Mr. Pooley.
I was going to say, I think one thing you need to perhaps think about is also that passengers who fly now I started in this business 20 years ago. Passengers who fly now, far more intelligent and far more intelligence available to them. They already know before they fly what the offer is on an airline. Many airlines will offer you a pre-order, so you can upgrade the quality and the quantity of food you receive anyway. So there's a lot more intelligence about it, and I think that means that in the same way that you would go out at lunchtime and decide to go to that restaurant or to that takeaway or to that convenience store, choices need to be reflected on the airlines as well, and you'll see a lot of that in what we call the back of the plane. So although you may not see the same quality of food or the same menu design behind it, you'll get a lot of choice. And I think variety is also important for driving the appeal of food.
Quality versus quantity?
Quality and choice are,
it does.
They're important. And
yes.
Again, it depends on your travel destinations. It depends on your state of mind, state of health. But I remember talking to Gottfried, we worked together. There were 3 pillars we always looked at for food menu design. One was to go for comfort food. One is to go for more exotic destination food. And one is for something which is nutritional, healthier, because it deals with your physiological state of mind when you're on board. So that gives you...
Yeah, but I think also in today's day, where you have free Wi-Fi on board, you should not underestimate also how fast people make a picture and sending this while they are still flying. Yeah. So
so you got to be on top of it.
Yeah, and we are in discussion with one airline about that, and they're saying, yeah, we're giving people the free Wi-Fi and then the choice of that. But on the other hand, before they even can react to it, it's in the world, and they know if the food was good or if the crew has behaved nice, or
if it sucked.
The service was good.
A lot of what we do is, you know what, the airline people, they come and they go. And part of our challenge is to continually convince the travel business to the value of what they're doing in terms of hospitality. And the cost of it, the value that they get back, far exceeds the cost of providing it. And that's the story that we're constantly trying to put out. Give you some statistics. The catering services sector is projected to be about $18 billion by 2020 in airlines. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Not compared to what they spend on other things.
True.
By 2030, 1 in every 5 flights taken in the world, I found this out, 1 in every 5 flights taken in the world will be to or from China. 1 in 5. So that's the way the market is going and how fast it's growing.
So is it a way to think the new catering, the catering of the future?
Well, again, we have got to adapt. We've got to change. We've got to look at the different markets around the world. I mean, the North American market, as you well know, is completely different from even the European and certainly the Asian and Middle Eastern markets. And companies like Gate and the rest of them have got to be adaptable to those different regional trends.
Trends and markets.
Exactly. So it's not just a question of, what are we going to give them? It's looking at all these different dynamics and where it's going to go. And the behavior, again, because of what carriers are doing today. They're moving people to their hubs. So, and from their hubs, it doesn't matter who is before maybe 25 years ago, 30 years ago. In British Airways, there used to be probably majority of British. Yeah, for the Germans, it would be the Germans and the Swiss and so on and so on. But now it's a mixture. And they're concentrating, bringing people to the hub, and then they're transporting them to their final destination.
It's like when we're flying, we have several questions: safety, trust, and catering. Because even if you're anxious, I'm very anxious when I fly. Then I eat, and I feel less anxious.
Years ago, I worked with CETA, the communications people in the airlines, and we did a survey, and we were asking passengers before they were getting on a plane what their 5 key concerns were. Number 1 was, I hope we don't crash, obviously.
Yeah, safety.
Number 2 was, I hope we take off, and then number 3 was my bag, and number 4 was, I hope the seat is comfortable, and number 5 was something else I don't remember.
Nothing about the catering.
Nothing about the food, but then we asked passengers 5 questions when they got off the plane. Number 1 was, I hope my bag is on board. Obviously, they hadn't crashed, so they were happy about that.
Yeah,
so
number
1 is my bag here.
Okay.
Number 2 was the food. Was it good? Was it bad? Was it whatever it was? So food then sticks with them. You ask people who've flown 6 months ago what they had on a plane, they can remember. But you ask them what they had at home for dinner a week ago today,
they won't
remember.
So for you, it's a very important question to satisfy them. Michael Pooley.
I was just about to say, one of the other issues that airlines face and we face as providers to airlines is consistency. Because if you fly out of London or Zurich, you may have a very good meal. The same airline is flying you back from Africa or another part of the world, another continent. Standards, quality, type of food, culture gets involved, you get a very different solution. So if airlines are looking for a network solution, supply chain, and finding providers from around the world, as you could find at the show, become increasingly important because you've got to find quality from different, literally, markets. And that's the challenge.
I think that's the place to be here, no?
Yeah. And it has a huge, absolutely. I mean, there are so many products here that, you know, if you've got a product here that you think is good for the airline business, you've got to get in touch with
I think that this is a real message here at Jeremy Clark. Do you want to deliver it? Do you want to be talking about it?
If you've got something that you think the airlines want, then you need to contact CL Middle East.
Absolutely. And it is going to be my last question, unfortunately. Time flies with you, by the way.
Are we already done?
Yeah,
almost.
I was going to do a quick audience survey, but never mind.
What will be the future of the on-board catering? Like, really, what are we going to be eating, for sure?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Tomorrow.
Well, again, you know what? It's like I said to you, where is the growth? Where's the expansion? It's in Asia. It's in Asia-Pac. Okay, so they are going to very largely dominate what they want. You know, that's going to be a very dominant feature. The North American market, I don't know where that's going, frankly. It couldn't go any worse.
Really?
So I think it can only go up from here. As long as you don't have any major catastrophes, they will start to reinvest and things will come slowly back.
Gottfried,
it's a very difficult one to call where things are going.
I think one assurance we should give to the audience, we will have not space food.
No,
so
pills.
We don't have dry
like
pills and flavored water or things like that. So that is one assurance we have.
Okay.
That the catering world will change, sure, it will. In which direction? There are debates. There are indications.
Trains.
So I think we touched this point on the beginning where people have a choice. You can upgrade your meal. You can buy your meal. You can pre-order your meal. Different quality, labeled with brands. You associate yourself with brands, and they're in the market already.
Yeah.
Vegan, organic, non-organic.
There's also going to be
all of that.
more and more about organic and provenance.
Yes, for sure.
I was about to say, one thing I'd like to come back to is the importance of, we should not underestimate the growing intelligence and awareness of the passenger. So more organic, more allergen-free, more products
healthy
that they are looking for in the high street. They will want to see those products on board of the aircraft.
The plane.
So there will be a lot more, I think, opportunities for niche suppliers because of that.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy Clark. Thank you so much, Michael Pooley.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Gottfried Menge. We will not see the catering on plane like we did before. Thank you for being with us. This TV show ends here, but the shows continue on CL TV, so stay tuned.